Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Could I tell you that Kamala Harris has survived? Among the most influential and private American homes are saturated with luxury and a few shocks throughout history. But the big shocker is that there is one characteristic of her house that will leave you totally taken aback. Any guesses? Is it a secret underground room passageway that's even more bizarre? We will soon find out, but first I would like to know what you consider to be a vice. The president's residence truly appears to be enormous chandeliers with gold accents. Everything. That could surprise you. An extremely upscale government home to Kamala's remote California residence houses are quite fascinating. However, the worst part is that one of them has a startling secret that most people are unaware of, recognize it, and believe. When you see it, you will never see her the same way again. Once more, are you prepared to take a tour? But listen carefully, since the biggest revelation is approaching, and to avoid missing it, let's begin. The first observatory circle is a landmark state, nestled away out of sight far from the center of Washington. DC to White House is presumably familiar to you. However, were you aware that here is where in reality, the vice president lives for? This mansion has been inhabited for decades by some of the most influential people in American politics. Covert political meetups to verify private events with international leaders. Without a doubt, yet the majority of individuals are unaware about a vice presidential custom within these walls, of which only a few. Have you ever seen what is? Oh, we will address it, but first, let's discuss Kamala Harris as the first American. The first South Asian and Black woman, Kamala, the vice president, created history as soon as she entered the office from spearheading significant policy endeavors. To beside President Joe Biden during the world crisis, she did not only possess the title that she reinterpreted. Therefore, her house should reflect that, wouldn't it? Strength. Not precisely at our initial look. Observatory number 1 circle appears sophisticated, but unassuming. Ostentatious ceilings, with a lot of gold ballrooms, simply a peaceful, stately residence with a lengthy past. But don't be duped by this. There are mysteries in the house. And while it's amazing, but nothing in comparison to her personal residence, since that's where things become quite fascinating. But the majority of people are unaware of this. The vice president has a custom, merely a small number of people within these walls. Many people have seen you before, maybe wondering what kind of custom a top-secret government ceremony, underground bunker, that is secretly hidden. Vice presidents shake hands well. To put it simply, it's not what you'd see. The top-ranked observatory circle is more than simply a fancy government. Mansion is a location full with eccentric people, customs that surprise history, and certainly a few secrets. And each VP over the years, some of them, have left their own mark, quite unique. Do not take George H.W. Bush instead. For instance, you would assume a man, one the president would be just a heartbeat away, bury himself in policy during his leisure hours. No, he constructed a horseshoe pit in the briefs. The backyard, as well as a quarter-mile distance, created a jogging track because you are aware of. Why limit yourself to simply managing the nation? Then you may also work on your throwing a horseshoe and talking about creating. A Dan Quayle moved into a residence. His small children, therefore they needed to make renovations. The location to be more redesigned, family-friendly bedrooms, significant. Advancements in accessibility were made. Not the biggest shift, but hey, each vice president has a unique priorities. But Kamala Harris appeared next. And Douglas Moff, as well as this. Things become quite fascinating for the first time in history, something completely. The vice was given a unique addition. Can anyone guess a presidential residence? A high-tech private cinema theater? A secret escape tube in a security bunker? No, it's a mezuzah. Douglas Moff, the very first second gentleman and the US president's first Jewish spouse, or the vice president positioned a mezuzah on the gateway of the residence, signifying a historics initially. And if that wasn't sufficient, he and Kamala even played host to the first recorded Consider the Passover Seder at home. That momentarily in a house would observe some of the most influential individuals in US history entered its halls. This was the first occasion that such a custom was honored. Don't you think that's a huge deal? You think, but let's return to reality. Mystery. Due to an additional feature, nobody wants to talk about this house. Have you ever heard whispers about Dot concerning a hidden underground bunker underneath the mansion of the vice president? Some claim it's only a rumor, while others it was constructed following 9/11 during Dick Let's Be Mindful of Cheney's time at the office. Sincere, if any vice president had a secret, Cheney would undoubtedly be in the bunker. Therefore, the fact is there genuinely a concealed escape path in the event of an is this an emergency, or just another one thing with the Washington conspiracy hypothesis is, this house has undoubtedly seen more than its share of mysteries, and even though it may be less ostentatious than the White House, is unquestionably just as intriguing. But if you believe this to be intriguing, but wait to see what's within Kamala's private residence, since, believe me, that's where things truly begin to attract attention. What occurs when a political heavyweight exits the largest stage in the world? Where is someone such as Clay Harris? When the cameras stop recording, the weight and the motorcade cease following. Of the White House is no longer merely a Harris's voyage, heartbeat away, well following the White House's involvement in yet, silent from the vice president to as a presidential candidate. She battled to make history once more with the campaign. The route was exhausting, with long, hot evenings, discussions and a flurry of political scheming. But when the ultimate votes, the White House door didn't count. This time, it's open. For her, so what does someone who was once the vice president, broken glass ceilings and created, what does history do next? Does she withdraw from the spotlight, faded away into private life, unlike those who came before her? She made a motion instead of using the comma. Everyone was talking about that, but she didn't go to a peaceful cabin in the forest. She didn't take refuge on a remote property in Texas, but she ended up somewhere else, exactly as strong, but in a very Brentwood, Los Angeles, in a different way location, where power is not determined by electoral votes, but by the motion picture's media tycoons and A-list billionaires. Where the presidential contenders are movie stars and influence have taken their place, appears in the form of huge sales. Plus special invitations from Harris, and she blends in perfectly with her new surroundings, is where some of the most significant names in business and entertainment, Gwyneth Paltrow, Arnold, perhaps LeBron James and Schwarzenegger, are merely a throwaway the stones. It's a gated world. Mansions, solitude, and tall palm trees so close that even the photographers attempt to smuggle a shot. But the question is, why did this house do this? It's worth millions of dollars. Withdraw in order to maintain power in a novel approach? Or is there something concealed within these walls, a little-known fact that transforms this home into more than a, are you interested in a nice getaway? What distinguishes her house in a sea of houses worth millions of dollars? Let's enter the space we've discussed. Kamala Harris's successful career relocate to Brentwood, and the rumors regarding an enigmatic quality concealed within her. It's time to view the house, though. Are you prepared for us, since what you're going to witness is not merely a lavish hideaway that makes a statement house that combines privacy, power and honor in a manner that only a former, the mansion of the vice president could. However, let's inquire before we open the front door. What does a person's home say about them? Does it disclose who resides there, personality, their goals, or perhaps, come along and let's discover their secrets. Me and I are entering Kamala Harris's. The first thing you see is Brentwood Mansion. Observe that privacy is different from celebrity homes, with imposing gates and ostentatious. Kamala's house has a hidden driveway. When hidden from view, it doesn't shout, "Look at me." But don't be duped. This home was made with the intention of impressing simply, not in a clear manner as we approach. You might question who's at the entrance. Passed through this door previously. Hollywood elites and political heavyweights, or perhaps someone we wouldn't anticipate now. Breathe deeply. We're about to step. Her Brentwood home is located inside. the epitome of understatement luxury that combines coziness and elegance in harmonious balance. The house is 3,500 square feet in size, has 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. Bathrooms with plenty of room for both leisure and entertaining and private meetings. The arrangement is carefully created to strike a balance between usefulness and comfort, guaranteeing that every space fulfills a particular objective while upholding a harmonious flow throughout the house step. Inside, and you're welcomed right away by a cozy, contemporary, and lofty floor-glazing glass walls allow for natural light to fill the room, producing a spacious, welcoming environment with no excessive luxury here, but sleek, minimalist design with a touch of individuality touches her framed photos. Historic swearing in of the vice presidents it next to treasured family relics, incorporating a sentimental, personal touch into the space, followed by the kitchen. If you know the real heart of the house, do you know anything about Kamala Harris? Like cooking, this cutting-edge kitchen furnished with the highest quality appliances and immaculate marble worktops, and an expansive island is ideal. Preparing for her culinary explorations, I can just see her here, getting up. Her recipe for macs and cheese went viral. That was popular on the internet once, but stepping inside doesn't halt the magic. There is a backyard sanctuary outdoors that looks like it belongs in a luxurious resort, luxuriant vegetation in an endless resort, a comfortable outdoor lounge and a pool create ideal haven, regardless of whether she's spending a peaceful evening by yourself or having a private party with close friends. Haven provides the best way to get away from naturally. The public's attention is focused on security, a primary concern for one of her significance, that the property has a state-of-the-art motion surveillance system, sensors, and more advanced security steps to guarantee the privacy and tranquility of Harris, can really let her guard here. Away from the media's constant surveillance under political scrutiny, recall the day when we're referred to a component of this home that is. Lifting our eyebrows, we're going to get at the base of it since, deep within. Perhaps there is a secret door to this house. Perhaps there is something underground. Something is kept secret. Some claim there's an advanced panic room intended for crises that some people think the house possesses, a covert gathering location where famous visitors can get away from what's actually behind those inquisitive eyes. Walls that are still unknown, adding an additional depth of interest to an already interesting home. So, what's the real picture here? Wandering through the starry Brentwood, Los Angeles' streets in the past hidden multi-million-dollar homes behind, iron gates and tall hedges among these luxurious residences, somewhere Kamala Harris's personal getaway is a so unique and well-protected property that even a stray step close to its high security could be installed at the entry. Vigilant, but how unbreakable is she? Stronghold and the events of that one instance. The police had to come in quickly, so let's, first things first, break everything down. Harris doesn't reside in a typical. This Brentwood house isn't your typical one. A celebrity retreat, including an opulent doorbell camera and a security officer on duty first. We are discussing a past. The United States Vice President, a female individual who has had access to some of the most sensitive data on the planet, inherently has that kind of prestige, includes a security configuration that would make any A-lister in Hollywood envious from cutting-edge surveillance top patrols Kamala Harris's property all day and all night. The house is constructed as a stronghold, but official information about her security protocols are kept under wraps for clear explanations for why we are aware of that secret. Wherever she goes, service protection follows. She leaves, but her home is not instance. Consider advanced cameras, with motion sensors with facial recognition lining the land, along with a guarded entry that few people are able to pass through. If you are so close to the wrong hedge, anticipate the arrival of law enforcement in minutes. And it's not only that rumors that it actually took place early in 2025. There were rumors of a possible effort to break into Harris's police quickly arrived to Brentwood's house, were present and holding 2 people who had strayed too near. Even though there was no proof of coerced entry, the prompt reply displayed merely her security is really tight. Basic curfew infraction in the region, that was sufficient for cops to jump into. If that doesn't shout high alert, take action. It's not just trespassers, but what does that the security staff at Harris gets ready for siding in a region vulnerable to natural catastrophes that have occurred in her neighborhood, significant evacuations because of raging wildfires. During one especially, checkpoints for the rigorous season were established, surrounding her house, limiting access to. Even locals claim this degree of security surpasses what's common for retired officials. So, what precisely is being shielded by those barriers when a vice is envisioned? The president's home, as you may image something magnificent, rich in history and carefully chosen for state-related matters. However, Kamala Harris's residence in Brentwood this is not a house. That's a separate story. Selected by political or security experts' advisors, it was carefully chosen a long time ago. She took the stage on a national level. Back her spouse, Doug Moff, was a top at the time. The entertainment lawyer was the one who completed the purchase of this gorgeous. The Brentwood estate is tucked away in one of LA, the most upscale neighborhoods. This was not another well-known mansion. It was a calculated decision for comfort, privacy, and let's face it, a taste of opulence. From Hollywood, when Kamala and in 2014, Doug got married at the house, became a component of their shared trust symbol. Emhoff's bachelor apartment was replaced by the couple's joint retreat at the Harris's tenure as California's lawyer, growing political star in general, but being able to live in the White House. Most likely, they won't even consider it one day. Nevertheless, destiny had a way of creating this. Brentwood is more than just a place to cozy getaway. It became into her private haven away from the chaos of politics. But this is the actual. Did her tenure in government raise any questions? Whether the vice president's residence home or the famous Blair house altar, her perception of her Brentwood house. The response consists of both yes and no. Security measures have undoubtedly increased. She has a greater respect for privacy. More than before, although this home isn't intended for lavish diplomatic meals or political, pretending that's where she relaxes. She prepares her preferred comfort foods, and where she is allowed to be Kamala alone, without. Nevertheless, murmurs. Madam Vice President, continue discussing a hidden feature in Theon at home that might have been included later. Whatever her political assent may be, it's definitely coming close to. This would be practically impossible. The Brentwood residence is merely an opulent retreat, or are there more requirements? You are the judge of the rumors. I, been circulating an extremely secret unidentified aspect of Harris's. Something so mysterious about Brentwood land that very few people are aware of its existence sound. Perhaps unrealistic, but think about this, agents of the Secret Service don't merely vanish overnight, even after departing office. Harris is still subject to stringent protection, using security measures at a distance beyond the typical retired person's infrared motion detectors. For politicians, 24-hour surveillance with armed guards. This is a lockdown, not just security, and it gets even worse from here. Untrustworthy sources have suggested that deep, beyond the opulent decor, inside her house, with simple furnishings, some claim that the concealed entrance leads to an subterranean bunker, where prominent visitors can meet in full confidentiality. Others assert that it's a safe vault, sequestered from the world, that contains records of letters from influential people, classified conversations and records that might cause the political landscape to shift. Do not consider it if it is ever made public. This type of arrangement has been observed previously in the FBI conducted a raid on the Florida residence of a previous president of the United States is seeking. Harris's sensitive materials, could security may be concealing something similar? Consider this. This house isn't just it's about management, not about extravagant comfort. It concerns who enters, who exits, and what takes place in private with cutting-edge security systems, sophisticated monitoring, and a location surrounded by some of the greatest prominent personalities in the entertainment industry. And this house is more than a business. It's a stronghold, not just a retreat. Therefore, the actual query is, might this be America's most powerful house